I want to tell you, drum roll please, that there is a new date for Empower Your Magical Self, the podcast, to drop. It is September. I guess I should have that date at hand. And I want to talk a little bit more about the impetus behind Empower Your Magical Self, the podcast. Empower Your Magical Self is my whole entire thing. Based in the reality that I was suicidally depressed for my entire life, really, until about 3 years ago. The circumstances around COVID more or less saved my life. It started me down a path. The circumstances around COVID. In 2020, I knew that if I wanted to not kill myself, I had to figure out a way to be happy. I'd never been happy before. Didn't really believe that it was possible for me to be happy, but I thought, well, this is going to be my last try, and it stuck. I had kind of a preconceived notion, as I said, that I would never be able to be happy, so I didn't ever really put my heart into trying to be happy. Okay, so with that background, in 2020, I decided that I would do whatever it took. Now, I've written extensively about this on Medium, made lots of videos about it, so subscribe, do whatever you got to do if you want to catch up on the story. But what I discovered along the way about a year ago, I decided that what I had been doing was empowering my magical self. So that's my whole thing. Empower your magical self. And because I was able to do that, because I have found happiness after a lifetime of not believing I would be able to, I want to share that, obviously, with as many people as possible. So I'm working on a book, and the next step in this whole process is the podcast. Once I started down this self-discovery path, I started really opening up, like I said, to any avenue of help, things that would help me get my mind right. I've since named this effort my soul lit. I don't let anything into my sphere that doesn't light up my soul with joy. So I had to figure out what those things were because I was such an unhappy person. Well, it turns out over the last 3 years, the vast majority of the material, the art, the books, the podcast that I have consumed that have been so helpful for me, the music that I've gotten to know, this high vibe music that has made such a difference in my life and has helped me construct a soul lit that is just as full of music and art as my life was before I decided to get on the path to healing. But this is very spiritual, empowered music, and most of the artists who create it are people of color. I have discovered that most of these people who have been so helpful to me on my path are people of color. Now that dovetails so beautifully with me because I have been, along with one of my reasons of my suicidal depression for most of my life is because that I have this real strong sense of social justice, and that the way life is, obviously, is not fair, and the game is heavily rigged against people of color, especially in the United States, which is, the home of the free, whatever, built on genocide and slavery. So it's been very troubling to me to live in a country that is so blind to the injustices on which the country is built, and that anybody in this country can deny the rampant racism. Capitalism and racism have gone together, in my opinion, to destroy lives and homes and happiness and any chance that people have of happiness. Now, I realize that I am a very privileged white woman, but capitalism, patriarchy, and racism were a big part of what had made me so depressed for so long, because I felt so ineffectual as a white person who has benefited from the system. Obviously, how could I not be privileged and benefit from the system that was set up, if not by people I was related to distantly, then people who look a lot like me. So I'm not going to deny, not even going to begin to deny that I've been privileged by the system. So in recognizing that most of these people who have been healers in my life, who have helped me so much, even though they don't even know who I am, just by being themselves and doing their work, they've helped me so much. And these are mostly people of color. Now, bells began to ring in my head. Leah, they said, you're not equipped to be an activist. You're autistic, you get tongue-tied, you have emotional vulnerability like cellophane. Activism is just not your bag, they said. But they said, Leah, you are a spiritual person. This has always been your gift of being able to connect with the universal energy. Now you have found this way to be happy, and that is built around spirituality. The podcast that I will be debuting next month in September, each episode will be an interview with a healer of some sort who has greatly helped me. These people are actually people who I've engaged with their work, and they have really helped me. And most of them are people of color. Realized that I really need to let people know what Empower Your Magical Self, the podcast, is all about. And it will be me sharing my knowledge and experience of empowering my own magical self and giving you tips on how to do that. And then the main part will be my interview with a person who has helped me immensely. Now, I have one interview already recorded, and it is such a good, it is such a good interview. It really, I've listened, I've watched it back, because there's visuals too. I've watched it back a couple of times, and I really learned a lot, and I know that you will too. It was an interview with Toni Jones, who is an affirmation musician, and she is the first affirmation musician who I heard ever. And her song Take Up Space Sis was the first affirmation song that I heard, and I knew it was going to be an important part of my life and my recovery. So I was so honored to sit down with Toni Jones for an hour of her time. Now I'm going to edit it down to just the choicest bits, which is going to be hard because there was so much good material. And I'm going to put it out on the air, and you're going to love it, and you're going to learn so much from it. It's a lot of really fascinating, wonderful people to whom I'm so grateful for taking the time to talk to me about their work and what they do. And I'm hoping maybe that finding out about them, hearing them talk, will touch something in you, make you think about how you can be happier, living a better life, and just being more in the flow and living a life of your dharma, of what you're meant to do. And I'm really hopeful that the show will help you empower your magical self, because that's what it's all about. Okay, I love you. See you later. Bye.